Yo, this is Talking with Taco. I'm your host, Taco, joined with my co-host, Eli and Orda. And today, we have another special guest for you guys. Hopefully, you guys love him.
All right. Hope you guys are all having a blessed day. Hope you guys are all staying safe. Thank you for tuning in. Art, take us away, I guess.
Got you. So, like Eli said, hope you guys have a blessed day. Thank you guys for everyone that listens to the podcast. Appreciate you guys. Our special guest today is Anthony Gallego. Anthony Gallego is for sure one of my brothers. I hold him very close to my heart. I love this man to death. Do anything for him. I'm really stoked to have him just because he's my brother. So, Anthony, how you feel on the podcast today?
Man, I'm saying, this is such a blessing to be here and be with this room full of guys I consider one of my brothers. And, I hold them to a very high standard. I love these guys very much. I'll do anything for them. So, yes, sir.
Yeah, glad to have you on here. All right, so first off, we're going to start asking you, we know, or at least I know, that you went to Upland for 2 years and then you went to Bishop Amat. So how was your high school experience? Start off with Upland.
My high school experience at Upland High School was kind of a up and down transition, just not getting the best education that I thought was possible, just trying to, go to a better school for myself and just really challenge myself for my last 2 years that I had and with eligibility and, the program was good. Don't get me wrong. We had a lot of D1 players that are going to really nice schools, full rides and everything. But for me, I felt like I needed to go to a better place where I can be exposed to, better schooling, better football program that took it more seriously. And, everybody there was just treating me differently than at Upland High School. I feel like I made more memories, made more connections. Just overall, got to be with my family and couple of my cousins went there. I love them to death. Jasmine and Anthony, do anything for you guys. So obviously it was just a better choice for me, a better decision.
Yeah. Go ahead.
How was it playing at Bishop? Because you guys were D1 when you were there, right?
Yeah,
the Division.
And then were you in the Trinity League?
Yeah, we were in the Trinity League. I'd say it was a very, very hard transition from D2 and D3 and actually playing against some really, really top-notch schools that had a lot of guys that were machines. I'm talking about 6'7", 7-footer linemen. It was crazy.
Moving,
280 moving that fast.
Who's some crazy guys you played with or against?
Some crazy guys that I played against probably would have to be the quarterback that just went first round, Bryce Young.
Yeah, playing against him.
That's crazy.
Yeah, CJ Stroud.
You played against him too, right?
Yeah, he cooked our team.
Yeah, he's a dog for sure. And CJ Stroud for sure. He was crazy, very athletic. Just overall, one of those rare players that you'll see or ever come across once in a lifetime. And Clark Phillips from Utah that went also in the second round and just playing with Justin Flo as well.
Yeah,
that guy was a dog, straight up. But man, I just surrounded myself with really, really good talent, and I think that made me better and got me a chance to play at the next level, which was at Kalu.
How did you end up at Kalu? Talk to us about your recruiting process. Why did you come here? How'd you get here?
Yeah, so I never heard of Kalu. Never, ever. I didn't even know this place existed.
That was in the same boat.
Yeah. It was just one time I was just talking, and I was working really hard at practice, and Coach Lugo's father was a coach at Bishop Almont for the lower level, which was JV and freshman. So he saw me practicing one time and came up to me and was like, "What do you think about playing at the next level? My son here he's a coach, going to be a head coach at this Division III level school." And I was like, okay, I'm interested in learning more about this school and what they have to offer and what it looked like. So I did a lot of research, spent a lot of time, looking at what the school had and what kind of people came to the school. And when I came on my visit and everything, I'd say it was truly like a blessing in disguise because, you know, not a lot of D3 schools are built like Cal, like the campus, the people, and like overall the coaching and the staff. So I felt like I was in great hands, and like for me to come here, you know, it was a challenge. Like, you know, I was trying to get as many coaches to look at me and look at my film, and like, you know, sometimes, you know, I didn't have the best luck, but, you know, I was just like, I still had God in my corner, and like I was always doing whatever I could to get accepted to these schools, and then like show them my film. And like Coach Lugo called me one day and told me to come down, and I did, and he offered me on the spot, and I was like, this is where I want to be after my visit. And I told my dad, I was like, no, this is like, I don't have to decide, like I don't need to think about it, this is where I want to be. And like I'm glad I did.
Well, I'm very happy that you're here. For those people that don't know Anthony Gallego, Anthony is probably, if not the hardest working player.
He works out like a psychopath.
Yeah, honestly, like we're blessed to have you on here at Cal Lutheran. I'm blessed to have you in my life. It's been an honor, like being like your brother and stuff like that.
Anthony works really hard, but it's good. It's great for the team because it also encourages other guys. Like other guys will see Anthony going in the rain and doing all this crazy extra work.
Yeah.
Other guys will be like, yo, like I need to set myself up too. They'll be like, look at Anthony. So
One
definitely set
day.
a standard. So like you already made a huge impact in your first year just by like setting a standard of a work ethic. So.
Yeah, I remember like the coaches thought we were crazy because
yeah.
one day, for those of you guys don't know, it was pouring out on our stadium and stuff like that. And usually me and Anthony run like sleds on like Tuesdays and Thursdays right before our rugby practice. We'll get into that right now as well. But I texted Anthony. I was like, so no sleds? He's like, well, let's do it in the rain.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, you're crazy. He's like, let's do it. I was like, all right, let's do it.
I thought you guys were crazy.
Yeah. And just like that, me and Anthony ran 8 rounds of sleds in the rain, barefoot.
Yep.
And I remember all the coaches thought we were crazy. It was pretty funny.
Hey, it's what it takes to be great. You know, you gotta step out the comfort zone. You gotta show and motivate people when they're not looking, or when they're not looking at you, and you think that, you know, they're not paying attention, but truly they are, and like that's what's gonna motivate people to come and do stuff that they haven't done before, or never wanted to do. So, you know, glad we did.
All right, so since we brought up rugby, so not only does Anthony play football, but I convinced him to get out to rugby. How was your rugby experience?
Man, I absolutely loved rugby, but I ain't going to lie, like the first 2 practices, I was like, Art, I don't know if this is it for me, man. Like all these rules and all these regulations, I was like, man, I don't even know if I could learn all this in a matter of time before our first game, because our first game was
that
like
week or like
that
next week?
like next week, and I was like, dang, I'm not prepared. So Art was like, don't worry, don't sweat it, you know, I'm gonna teach you the game, like just follow me. And just, you know, Art took me under his wing, and like I appreciate that very much, because, you know, that probably, if he didn't, I probably would not have been playing rugby. So I appreciate it very much. But man, I love rugby. I love, you know, it's just everything about it. The coaches were cool. You know, the players were really cool. I got to make a lot of new friends and have an opportunity to just, you know, play a game that's like considered like football, but it's originated through rugby, and it's like football and soccer combined, which is like 2 of my most favorite sports that I absolutely love. So just like, you know, getting to hit people and like being able to play offense on the offensive side, like running the ball and like, you know, just doing like crazy moves and stuff, like just being myself and not having to worry about any coaches yelling at me, like that was probably like the best experience. Like I absolutely loved rugby over football, and like no offense to football, but rugby is just a real
freedom.
man.
Yeah.
Rugby is just more of a real man sport. Like no ads, no nothing. Like straight up raw.
Yeah, I remember. Go ahead.
How was you guys' team? Because I know you guys went undefeated all season.
Yes. We definitely blew out other teams. You know, we're with the little amount of practice that we had. The other teams like literally had so much time to like prepare and like be ready to go.
And USC canceled on us too.
And we just went down there, didn't care about practicing, didn't care about any of that. Just go down there, play smash mouth rugby, and just dominate people. So that's what we did, and we went undefeated. So.
I think the best memory I have was after our first game. It was my first game coming back. I hadn't played since my middle school, or like since I was like 12 or something like that. But I remember Anthony coming up to me after the game. He's like, bro, thank you so much for showing me this game. He's like, I love rugby. After the first game, I already had him hugged. I remember like seeing Anthony going off tackling. Once he got that first tackle, it was over for that Loyola team. He was just going off and stuff like that. I remember when I scored my try, first guy running up to me was Anthony. You just see him in the video.
Yeah.
Hyping me up. He's like, let's go.
Yeah. How would you say what sport's more difficult to play, is rugby or football? Like what's more difficult to pick up and play? And because you play a linebacker and Anthony plays defensive end, so you guys both play on the defense side of the ball. Mm-hmm. How much harder is it to play rugby versus football?
Shoot, I'd say rugby's very easy to pick up, honestly. I thought it was gonna be very, difficult and perplexed, but like, man, I picked it up in a matter of time, like a matter of seconds, and like other guys started joining because of it too. Like, they were getting other guys to come down and play, and they were learning it quick as well, and like they started having a blast, and I had a blast watching them have a blast. Yeah. But like in football, I feel like it was way more difficult. It took me a kind of couple years to, really get it down and really be like, okay, like, this is how you go away and go about it.
Especially playing defensive end, because that's got to be, like, it's a super technical position.
Yeah.
Like, everything in football is very technical, especially once you get in playing college and everything gets super detailed, but especially defensive end, like, in terms of like pass rush moves, like hand placement,
reading your keys,
like it gets super, super, super detailed. So it must be nice versus when you're playing rugby, like you have a lot of freedom.
For sure.
Plus you get to play both ways basically.
Yeah, you can throw the ball. Yeah. I know Arter, since he got back from rugby, he's like, bro, like, Eli, I might throw on the purple jersey. I can play some running back with you. I'm like, Art, let's do it, baby. And then
I just feel like for football, like, you gotta have the right coach. Because if you don't have a good coach, you're not gonna be able to learn the game fast enough. You're not gonna be able to learn the game at all. Like, if your coach is just not showing you how to do it right, and then you go from being from a little school to a big school and, like, trying to play, like, it's gonna be super hard.
Yeah. I came from, like, a small high school. I love my coaches. I had great coaches. But, like, none of my coaches in high school, like, they all had separate jobs. So, like, they can only spend so much time of their day, like, dedicating to, like, us and our team and our players. They did everything they could, and they worked extremely hard. Like, they stay up all night watching film, and then they'd get up and go to work the next day and go to work all day and then come to practice. And I love them, and I'm so appreciative for it. But I can definitely tell a difference when you're around college versus coaches that it's their sole responsibility to make sure your football team wins. And like this, our coaches, like, it's their jobs for the most part. Yeah. And like, and so like they're trying to further their careers. They're trying to create stability in their careers, and they also are just super invested in us. They want to see us succeed, and they want to see the team succeed. So like it's so much more oriented and detailed versus when I was in high school, because just they have more time to put into it.
I feel like that's how it is at every high school, honestly, because like pretty much like every, other than like the head coach, like they're getting paid little to nothing.
Yeah, my head coach throughout high school is a great man, but I love him so much, and he would even like he'd get paid like a little stipend check, and he just put it back in.
Yeah, like most of the coaches,
they just give it back
right when they get when they get into practice. They're just getting off their shift of work.
Yeah.
Like they're all drained. Yet they're not the best coaches. I'm gonna be honest. Like my O-line coach in high school, shout out to him. Like he was a good guy, like great stand-up guy. I love him. But like compared to like Sutherland right now, my O-line coach right now, like he's way so much better.
I had a couple coaches in high school that definitely could have like coached here, and they were great coaches. But at the same time, like, we didn't have a lot of like very many coaches either. So like we only had very few, and we had very few like experienced coaches, and it was harder versus now because, and they'd also have to spend time on other kids, So like for like me being a more developed player, like in high school. Like not a ton of time was spent on like the more developed guys, just because you had to get these other guys ready for the game. You know what I mean? Like versus like a kid like who's like kids that are at a higher level and operating at a higher level, like they don't need as much work as the kids who like just start playing football, and you need to like, okay, like I need to teach your receiver his stance and what a press release is. And kids like the basic things, and like it's their first year playing football versus a guy I've been playing my whole life, and I'm like super detailed oriented about it. Like so yeah, but one thing is nice is like even when you think here you had a great rep, like there'll be times like, wow, I had a great run. And then I'll go watch film, and Chimmy's like, you see on this cut, like, yeah, you had a great run, but on this cut, like, the ball came out a little bit. Like, you can't do that. Like, you put, and so, like, you're always getting pushed to become better.
Yeah, everything about football is just honestly detailed, really.
So
like, everything comes down to every little detail. But, so moving on, like, Anthony didn't start actually playing football till his freshman year. He actually played soccer growing up. How was that for soccer? I know you're
what'd you play?
A beast in soccer.
I played all around. Like I played midfielder, I played forward, and I was back, and a goalie as well. So I played every little thing, every position. That was me. But I played probably for about 12 years, just always playing soccer, and like it was so much fun because my dad got me into it, and like me and him would always be sitting down watching the Premier League or MLS and just watching it and bonding over, my favorite team, which is Manchester United.
My dad's favorite team. My dad loves Man United. So whenever I go home, we watch a ton of Man United back home. Yeah.
My favorite player was Wayne Rooney, so I always
That's my family, yo.
Yeah, I always wanted to be like him, so I'd always go outside and just train, just kick the ball against the brick wall until the brick would fall apart, or like I'd break a plant or something, like get my parents upset. But I always trained so hard, especially with my dad, because he was my motivation to believe that anything's achievable, anything's possible. Along comes with like hard work and discipline and doing good in school. But mostly my dad always prioritized like school over sports, so I always had to make sure that I had good grades before I even touched the ball. But soccer was so much fun. I made a lot of friends, and just traveling over the years, experiencing new places and experiencing new people and getting exposure, and talking to high school coaches that were recruiting me, or like colleges that were recruiting me to play at the next level. But I wanted to play football so bad because I always watched it on TV, and sitting there watching the Dallas Cowboys play and watching Tony Romo throw the ball, and just that just made me want to play football and have a desire. So I gave up the sport of soccer, unfortunately, to go and play football in my freshman year, since my parents didn't allow me to start actually playing football until high school, because they were afraid of the coaches and how mean they were and how unorganized they were. Yeah. And just me getting hurt. So obviously I took advantage of right when I got to high school. I was like, I'm gonna play, like no ifs, ands, or buts. I'm going to sign up and just become the best football player I can possibly be.
So like me and you talk obviously a lot and stuff like that, and we've talked about the stories. Do you want to tell everyone like the story of when you first put on pads and tackled somebody or hit somebody?
Yeah. So first day of practice, we come out, right? And this guy has been playing football for all of his life, and he was a starting varsity player that was a freshman, and he had come down to practice with us one day, and he was, we're doing hitting drills, and obviously I was standing in the back, not gonna lie. And I was just trying to see what they were doing so I can implement that to, my strategy to hit someone as hard as possible. But it was my turn to go up. I was the tackling dummy, and of course the varsity guy is gonna hit me full speed with me just standing there. And so the coach says to go. And here he comes, the varsity player coming full speed, just hit me so hard, I just knocked the wind out of me, and I was like, I had to push through it, right? So I got up, I had shook it off, I was like, that's nothing, but it was in the back, I was like dying, I was like, I was just trying to catch my breath, but ever since then, I was like, I don't want to play offense, I was like, I want to play defense, I want to do what he was doing. So then I asked him after practice, I was like, yo, how do you hit like that? He's like, I just been playing all my life, and he showed me, and then I started implementing that to the game, and I was like, all right, I can't wait to hit someone. So
I have a question for you. So I have a little brother who's 14. He's gonna be a freshman in high school. I coach a flag football league with a bunch of little kids, 6th through 8th graders. What advice would you have to kids playing their first year of football, especially if they start their freshman year, like what would you tell? And just coming from a person that's played at Bishop Alamont, you play football at Calu, you're a really hardworking guy. Like, what advice would you give to kids that are just able to play football for the first year?
I would tell them to, like, just work hard. You know, don't be afraid to push your boundaries and limits. Like, go beyond that, exceed your expectations, and just, you know, just be who you are, and just be like in the moment, and suck everything in, like, and just pay attention to what everybody else is doing. Like, even the best players on the field, pay attention to them and watch what they're doing and implement that to your game, and just, like, you know, keep practicing and keep working really hard, and, like, don't ever let anyone tell you that you can't achieve or do something, because you can. It's all in your mental, like, state of mind. So you just have to be like, I'm going to be the best, and I'm going to do whatever it takes to get to that level. So
what would you tell, like, parents that are too afraid to let their children play, like, coming from a player's perspective?
I would say let them play, you know, let them have a chance and see if the sport is really for them. Like, because, you know, like, they're far behind from the game itself. Like, not really sure what to do, or, like, they don't know how to hit and stuff, and, like, you know, just giving them a head start would be good, like, or just simply playing them in flag, like, if they can't do tackle.
Yeah.
But, like, you know, I'm a firm believer in putting kids in football at an early age, because, you know, it's really fun. They get to make great memories, and they get to experience what it's like to be hardworking and, like, you know, see what they want to achieve later on down the road.
Yeah, I kind of the same story too with my parents. Like, originally they really didn't want me to play football, because they were just scared of me getting hurt and all the injuries and stuff. And then as I our chair is going crazy.
Yeah, sorry.
as I got older, I was just really like I want to play, and then stuff's happened in my personal life. My parents were like, just go for it. And and then coming from a kid who's had concussions, knocked out, getting taken off by ambulances, broken collarbones, ankle surgery, like, I would say all of it's worth it, just because and honestly, like, I talk to my mom now, like, I looked at her and I was like, we were talking the other day when I was back home, and I was like, Mom, like, imagine what my life would be like if I never played football. Because, like, football is what I want to do. Like, I want to work in player personnel when I graduate. Like, and that's where all my best friends come from. And it taught me a work ethic. Because it's not really about, like, actually playing the game. Like, it's so much fun. You build connections. But it's more about, like, you learn life lessons and experiences. Like, it makes you more disciplined. It makes you work harder. It helps you respect people. Like, it helps you be more competitive. Like, and I grew so much as a human being through playing football, and that's what I would tell people is it's not about actually playing the game, and injuries are going to happen, and injuries are going to come and go, and you shouldn't ever live life scared of something.
Yeah, I feel like injuries, honestly, you can get injured doing anything, really. Like, I have a story, actually, about my brother. My brother was walking with my parents, and he tripped, and then a nail ended up in his knee. Like, you know, like, injuries are going to happen anywhere. Like, you know, one false step, like, while you're walking, it's just like, boom, there goes your ankle. Or something like that. So, like, for the, like, people listening, like, you know, injuries are part of life, you know. You can't be afraid of them. You just got to embrace it. Got to take it as a lesson and stuff like that. Yeah. Luckily, my parents put me in football when I was 5 years old. So, 14 years of nonstop just hitting. Honestly, all 14 years have been worth it. Can't wait for, like, the rest and stuff like that. I also wanted to bring up, at Bishop Amat, you were a 3-sport athlete. You did basketball and track. How was it? We'll start off with basketball. How was it playing basketball there?
Man, basketball was a blast. I had so much fun, you know, meeting new people, obviously, but the coaches were so much fun, and playing in the big, you know, stadium of the court and everything, and, like, getting to soak it all in, all the fans and stuff. It was just really awesome, and really cool playing with people that actually went to the high level of Division I to play basketball.
Who was, like, the best person you played against in high school?
Best person I played against in high school would be Jalen Green. He was crazy. And the Ball Brothers. I played against the Ball Brothers. And let me tell you, it was the saddest game. I was sitting there just, they were good. Like, different breed. I'm talking, like,
Did you guard Mello?
Yeah, I guarded Melo, Lonzo, and I mean Jello was too big for me, so I couldn't. He was gonna bully me, but man, I could not stay in front of him or his brother. It was very, very difficult. Those guys could shoot anywhere, anytime. So, but man, basketball was just awesome. Pulling up to the school early just to shoot baskets and trying to be the best basketball player I can as well, because I really love the game. My favorite player was Stephen Curry, so I always thought I could just shoot 3 points all the time and go crazy. But yeah, and I like it showed me different life lessons, and to just straight up work hard, and it was hard doing football, basketball, and track like all year round, and like always doing something, and I had to worry about school and homework as well. So it taught me the life of balance, like and like how to do timing and stuff, and yeah, it was awesome.
All right, so how was track for you?
Track, man, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. My favorite event was the long jump, which I was really good in, and that's the reason why I went to state. But long jump was absolutely fun. Just people would be shocked seeing a big guy like me jumping so far than others, and I did 400. I did the 4x400 and the 400.
Jeez.
So I pretty much did every event, but mostly that was my go-to, like my long jump or 400 or 4x400, and man, that was tough. Like I ain't gonna lie, like 400 was you'd be going full speed all the way, and then at the last 100 meters, you would feel like you're dying, like everything's shutting down. Your legs don't want to go, your arms aren't going, your head's just like bobbling around. You're just like, man. But I'm telling you this, it was deeper than track itself. Like it was kind of like showing me life, like the obstacles of life. Like you start off so good, you're doing really great, life's going amazing, and then you just hit this like slump, and you just start going down from there. And it's all about what you do during that time to keep up the speed and keep up the level of aggression to finish the race. And that's what life's about, to finish, always finish. And it doesn't matter where you start, where you end, or when you get stuck. You just keep getting up and keep going. Like that's what it's all about. And that's what football too. Like if you ever get put on the floor and embarrassed, you get back up and you're like, okay, you testing me. I like it. I'm going to get you back. And that's what life's about, get back.
I had a basketball coach when I was in middle school. He told me something I always remember. He told me, like, I had a bad play one time, and then we were like, a timeout happened right after, and you can tell I was down on myself, and he told me blink and move on. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it's like the best thing to do, because like you can't linger on that.
Actually, I've never heard that one. That's actually
good.
That's a good one.
So that's what I always do, and I also like you can apply that to life. Like you had a bad test score, and like you can hang your head on it and be upset about it, and that's okay. But you better study like way harder. Like gotta blink and move on at one point and study way harder for like the next thing. So that's something I always try to like apply to in life. Well, obviously like you should process things, and if you're sad about something, that's totally fine. But like sometimes it's what you need to do in the moment. And then, and then one thing I always tell my middle school kids too, like, because sometimes like some kid will just moss another kid, just catch it like over his head, or some kid will get his ankles broken, and you can see the kid's down. And one thing I tell them all the time is like, look, the best football players I've ever played with, I've gotten absolutely embarrassed. Like I've been just disintegrated. You guys have all seen me just got like lit up in practice, right? Yeah. And then I told them like, bro, that happens to everyone. Mistakes in life, in football, or whatever, it's just a growing experience. Like all that is just you learning something. Like after I got like, I've been lit up before, and I was like, well, I was running too high. I need to start running lower. And sometimes I still run really high, and I need to run like, or even in life, like you have a bad day, like grow from it, learn from it. Like it's not anything that's gonna stop you. And it's like don't get too hung up on yourself, bro. Like it happens to everyone.
Yeah. Absolutely. So I think with that, we'll conclude this podcast. Thank you so much, and I love you, bro.
Thank you guys for having me.
I'm glad that we got you on the podcast. Do you have anything to say like at the end?
Yeah, I want to first off thank you guys for having me and allowing me to be here and just talk about what's on my mind and help answer questions to the best of my abilities. And I want to let you guys know that whatever is going on in your life, to just keep going, keep swimming, keep pushing, and always keep your head held high, and hold yourself to a higher standard, because love you guys very much. So
Appreciate
That's
it. If
what
you
I
guys
mean.
see Anthony, you guys will probably see him at the gym, or you'll probably see him with me. So
and you'll see me on the field too.
yes, sir.
This podcast was Anthony. Anthony, thank you so much for being on.
Thank you so much.
Thank you guys so much for listening. This was Talking Like Taco. We're out.
Have a good day.